This is Andy 2. In this video, I'm going to start working on the wiring of this little Singer Model 221 Featherweight. Somebody's done kind of a homemade patch-up job on the wiring. They put in a 3-pin terminal that isn't really for this machine. They've hardwired the foot controller into the back of it and put a plug on the end of the line lead, the hot lead from the wall. But I want to replace all that, and I'm just going to start here with this switch, and it's broken. The lamp doesn't work. I took the bulb out and tested it in another machine, and the bulb was okay. But the bakelite or plastic tip of the switch here has broken off, and a little steel piece is sticking up there. The switch moves normally and sounds normal. So I really think it's going to be something in the wiring, but I think I'm going to replace this switch, and I think to do it I'll probably be replacing all the wiring for it. So I'm going to start with the video, and in this video I'm going to figure out how to take out the switch and the wiring for it and replace it. So to begin with this, I'm going to show you the bottom down here, and what's going on here. There's a clamping plate that's supposed to be screwed in right here. It's just kind of a rectangular piece of metal that clamps the light leads into a recessed area here. Okay, kind of like that. And I've got a friend who's going to send me one of those. He has an extra one. But if you have one, I think you should remove it for this, because it'll give us some flexibility. Give you some flexibility here if you need to work on the switch, because the switch is up in this area, okay, and this is the light leads or light wires in this lead flat tube, I guess we'd call it, going up to the Singer light, and then down here is the wiring going to the motor. And it's supposed to have a little double clip that screws into this hole right there and holds these two motor wires. So poor little Lala here, she's been Mickey Moused and played with and redone, so I'm going to see if we can clean some of it up. So that's why I said we would start down here. You would take the oil pan or the bed plate off, the thumb nut, and take it off, and I would take out this clamping plate and screw if you have one here. Okay, then we'll go back up here, and what holds this switch in is there's actually a plastic, what I think is bakelite knurled screw cap that screws onto the metal threading of the switch, and then below it is a very thin nut. So this hopefully is no more than finger tight, and I wouldn't make it more than finger tight so that we don't crack it or anything. and we just unscrew that. I'll try and give you a little bit closer look at it here. You see the knurling there. It's threaded on the inside, and it's going on the metal housing of the switch. Okay. And then here is this flat, it appears black, thin washer. No, nut. I'm sorry, nut. That's right here. And I tested it's a 9/16. 9/16 inch, and you know, since this is the finish around here, I know some of you have very pristine and beautiful machines, so if you take this off, just make sure that you don't scratch this paint around here. And if you want to try and go in at a little bit of an angle, you know, rather than dragging it on your machine, or if you want to put a little piece of you know, cloth down there or something. I'm not worried about Lala. I mean, you know, she's kind of beat up, but I know some of you have just gorgeous machines, so just be aware of that, okay? And it there. So you just have to kind of break it free and get it loose. And of course it can be dirty here and stiff to turn, but you should be able just to take it off with your fingertips then. See, that is a thin thin nut, isn't it? And it is black or blackened, I don't know. I couldn't tell if it was just old grease or dirt covering it, but it looks like the metal itself has a black finish. So that's how it looks there so far. I'm going to take these two pieces and like I said, this is plastic and it looks like Bakelite to me, but I think this is aluminum. The switch housing, now the up in here it's steel. This is magnetized underneath this plastic coating, but the housing is aluminum and this is aluminum. So I'm just going to push this down inside here so that when we turn over the machine, you know, we can pull it out through the bottom. Let's see if that's enough here. Oh, you know what? I think while I'm here, if you have a regular 3-pin terminal, I had to buy one. I had to find a seller, you know, and I sure hope it's the right one. And if you have this on your machine, there's one screw that holds it on, and I think that you should take the screw out and kind of fold it down like this so that you'll be able to change your light or check the wiring. So this setup here, I'm going to remove the screw on it. I don't know what machine this is from, where they found this, but it's got a similar setup to the original. And I don't know if it's from a different Featherweight or but anyway, you can see how this is all going to be together down here, so let's go look at it. See if I can get this up closer to us here. Okay. If I can, I kind of like to pull that switch out of there and see what it's like. Here's the wire somebody rigged up, hardwired the foot controller. Now some of these machines, I think these wires are just together with a fastener, like a wire nut or a wire crimp, and they don't have a plug. So, you know, this is the only featherweight I've ever worked on. Here's some kind of a little fiber insulator. So I'm going to take that off and put it aside to protect it. And I'm going to remember that the one side is a little bit longer here, and I see a solder, so my long side, when I put it back on, will be on the soldered side. And the way I took this out, when I put it back in or put my new one in, the solder side is going to be facing me on top of the machine. Now, oh look, here's the wire, one of the wires from the light just flopping in the breeze here. So that's probably why the light didn't work, huh? And one of the two wires on the switch is soldered on, and then it goes to the plug here, and the other wire from the light lead is attached by a screw on the switch. So that's how it is routed through the switch and up to the light lead. Okay, so we can just loosen this screw here and disconnect the. Yeah, it wasn't very tight anyway. I wonder if that's broken or no, just loose. So I can't. Is this? I can't tell if that's wrapped around there. I'm going to take the screw all the way out because I can't tell if it has a metal loop or it's just looped. Now somebody just made a loop with the wire. All right, with our white wire from the light lead, you know, the light wires off, unscrewed, the red wire is soldered on, and it's supposed to go to the number 3 of the 3-pin terminal, the red one. So the red from the light switch is supposed to be on here with the red lead from the motor on number 3. But what I found was it's on number 2, which should be the black lead from the motor. So I told you this was a, you know, a home done deal here. So this was in the center, number 2. And then I have, it looks like the washer separating the two wires. And then I'll have the red from the light, I believe, here, from the switch. Take that off. Oh, that's not a washer, that's just the red lead. Okay, so that was kind of wired backward, this red one. It's too bad that this broke. Still feels springy inside. But I figure what the heck, Lala deserves it. $12.99. I bought a new one. So I think what I'm going to attempt to do is just with the light switch, I'm going to remove this off-size or different 3-pin terminal, and as I work on these wires, I'm going to start hooking them to the new 3-pin terminal that I bought. Let's just go ahead and get this foot pedal wires out of here. Somebody really kind of snuck those in there. Okay, here's my motor wires down there. That's good. Here's the light leads. There's my old terminal. Get my new switch. See, I'm going to, this isn't going to reach, I don't believe, anymore to the terminal. This is considered the yellow wire. The white wire is the one that screws onto the switch. This is considered the yellow wire, and it's supposed to go to the yellow terminal, number 1. And I don't know, man, it's broke off there, so I think I'm going to have to cut this wire and patch it and extend it to get on here. So it's got some, see, one of these motor loops is gone. So we've got a little bit of work like that to do, but let's see if my new that I bought is the right one. And it looks like it is. It looks like it fits right in there. So that will be nice. Okay, let's get the new light lead and get it onto the terminal so we can get the light switch finished up. Okay, here is my replacement light switch for $12.99 from a seller on eBay, and it's in good condition from everything that I can see. It has what's called the red lead soldered on, and the place to attach what's considered to be the white lead from the light wires. If you remember, this one was broken off here, what's considered the yellow, but the white one is here. So I'm going to show you how you would normally do this if you were just replacing the switch. If you remember, I just decided to take out this terminal somebody had put in that's really not for the machine, and I had bought the correct terminal, so I'll be putting that in minus the broken wire and the motor wires, because I need to work on all of that. But if you were just replacing the switch, you had taken it out and removed it from the terminal and disconnected the lead, and you're ready to put in your new switch now. The soldered red lead is going to face you, so it's going to end up like this with that soldered lead facing you, and the screw holding the white wire from the light facing down into the machine here. So let's go ahead and see if we can put that back on what I'm seeing is some of these wires like this. It's like a little two-piece eyelet, and I think the wire goes in the larger bottom part, and then the top ring is pressed in. And that's how, because there's no solder on it, that's how Singer put a ring end on here for the terminal. So on this one, it looks like the little rivet part or the snap together part has broke the screw through the little ring of the wire, and see if I can get that lined up with the hole in the switch. That looks pretty good. And we'll get that fastened in there. I'm sure I'm going to have to come up with something on this, like to splice on and extend, or even replace this. Like I said, this is the first 221 I've worked on. I've never had to replace wiring on the machine, any machine before. So I'm not sure about splicing this cloth covered wire and so forth. I'll find out. The next I'm going to be taking this light lead out and the light socket and lampshade and so forth, so maybe I can tell you more then. So I want to get this pushed up in through the hole and up to the top here. And a little bit of a tight fit here, so oops, you know what, it does come with a fiber insulator. I almost forgot that. You see one side has a little notch out and the other side is longer, and I remember when I took it out that this longer side was over the soldering location, so I want to put it back like that. It's just an insulator, and to keep it from touching the frame or the body, I guess you could say. See if I can get this pushed up in there and bring out my red lead. Now, you know, I'm calling these like the white wire from the light and the red wire from the switch, and maybe when they were new they have a tracing thread in this cloth covering or woven covering. Like this might have some flecks of red in there, is a very common way that they mark the leads. Sometimes they put 2 or 3 little tiny threads under the covering, gently wrapped around the wiring, and that was called like the tracer. So there might be some red little pieces of wire underneath the cloth covering. Luckily for me, the red wire is the one that's soldered on. I'll show you the little colored wiring diagram I made, and you can pause and come back to that if you want to see what color of wire goes where on that terminal. Okay, so I've got it through here. Looks pretty good, and I want it to flip left to right. So I'm just going to hold it with my one finger while I put on the nut to fasten it down. Remember, it had this very thin 9/16 inch nut that held the switch in place. And on some of the newer machines I have done where the light switch was up here, they also had a very thin nut holding a switch in place. Some of the switches later, this went to plastic. This is aluminum threading. And then I'm going to get my little thin wall open end wrench and just go ahead and tighten that down a little bit. I just want it secure. I'm not going to bear down real hard on that nut. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at how we would terminate that wire now on the terminal. And again here, let me show you the wire diagram. Okay, so you see that the red lead from the switch goes on terminal 3, which is also marked in red for us. Okay, and then the red from the motor would also go on terminal 3. I'm not going to do that now, but if you were doing this and you had to take a motor lead off when you took out the switch, you'd be sure to put the red lead from the motor back onto terminal 3. Okay, then it just slips that ring right over the threads there, and it is a snug fit. It's a very snug fit there, so I think I'll use the screw cap to push it down. Now in the manual that I have, it said that the washer goes on top of the wire that you put on that terminal, and that's all it said. The washer goes on top of the wire. So in this case you maybe would have two. You'd have a motor lead and the switch lead, and then I think the last thing to put on should be the washer. Okay, and then we'll put our cap. These are Bakelite caps, but inside is the brass, like a brass nut built right into it. So we'll see if we could get that started on here. There we go, and we'll just gently keep twisting it until it pushes the wire ring and the washer down to the bottom. Now you should have this on there too from the motor, so you wouldn't have as far to go as I did. Okay, then when you had your wires terminated, you would tuck them in here and put the terminal in there, and then take your mounting screw and put it right up in there and attach the terminal to the casting of the body. Okay, and in this case with the light switch, you would have this other wire. Hopefully yours isn't broken like mine is, and this is considered the yellow wire, and it would attach to the yellow terminal, which is terminal 1. Okay, so that's how the light lead goes. One to the switch and the other lead to terminal 1. And terminal 1, the only wire on there is the yellow lead from the light. Okay, I can't do it because mine's broken, but that's what you'd be looking at here. Hopefully when I do the light and the motor, then we can have a completely wired terminal here. Okay, now this I've got in, and it's nice and secure. Okay, so all I need to do with that is put this cap on. And this is a Bakelite cap also. You saw me unscrew it earlier in the movie. It's easier to take off than put on because the little toggle kind of wants to push it crooked, but if you work it back and forth or figure a way to hold it straight up while you get the nut started, once you get the nut on there a couple of turns, then the toggle won't interfere with it anymore. Okay, and you want to do this just to finger tight. Your metal nut to the metal frame is what's holding this switch. This just kind of makes it look pretty, you know, help keep dirt out of there and give it a nice finished look. Okay, so I'm happy to have a good looking switch instead of the one with the tip broken off. I think this will work fine. I just didn't know how to fix this, but I'm going to hang on to it and see if I can jazz it up somehow. Maybe I'll put a nice crystal on there or something. I don't know. Okay, so that would be removing and replacing the switch for the Singer light. This is called the Singer light. Okay. And the next video then, I'm going to figure out how to get this light fixture off and get this lead, kind of flat lead tube. It looks to me like it just will fish straight up there, just like on the 301s or the 401s, 404s I've done, where it just goes directly up into this area up on the top. And I see a screw here is probably holding the socket into the shade, and up here behind the bulb I see a screw that's holding the shade to the body. So I don't think it'll be too strange. For me, the hard part's going to be learning how to extend this cloth wire. I guess they just, I don't know, maybe some of you can say why this is in a lead tube. If it was just to keep it away from the gears, you know, so the wires couldn't fall down into the gears. I know gears can get pretty warm. There's modern coatings on wires that are very heat resistant, or even a small piece of 2-wire Romex type of wire. So I don't know if it'd be worth replacing this or just leaving it original and trying to extend this wire a couple of inches so I can get it mounted back properly on the terminal. See, so you're going to have to come back and check it out. And I hope you do. And thanks for watching this video on AndyTube. I really appreciate it, and I hope it was worth your time. And if you feel that somebody you know would like this video, or others may like it, go ahead and put a like. Somebody recently told me the more likes a video has, then somehow in some algorithm it gets recommended for viewing more. I don't monetize the video. I don't get any money the more likes, but I would just like to share stuff with people who may be interested. Okay, we'll catch you next time. In the meantime, you know, it's still pandemic here. I'm in Arizona and we have cases spiking to over 4,000 a day. It's just not a good time. So please be safe wherever you are in the world and whatever you are doing. Just be safe. Take care.